Rooted, the upcoming solo and cooperative post-apocalyptic survival game, has just broken their silence by dropping a surprise development vlog, which is believed to be the first of many as they publicly record their development progress and share it with us survival enthusiasts. Let's get into it. Rooted shares that their game takes place in a like reality world where, in just a few weeks, the world's population was wiped down by bacteriological warfare, reducing humanity's population to mere thousands. Due to this, the environment you play in is filled with dangers and uncertainty, and they want to use the environment to tell the story that was humanity's downfall and implement a large range of points of interest to keep us all engaged in our travels. And something that is interesting is that the developer says this.
Located halfway between a solo narrative game and an open world PvP, the oppressive atmosphere of the remnants of the old world and the former civilization is at the heart of the game.
And I really respect that, because that is a hard balance to strike. Trying to develop a strong storyline in a world that is filled with PvP is a really hard thing to do, but I really believe that the developers, knowing this and respecting that difficulty, are sure to hit the mark. They emphasize the need to explore the old world, which is just the world remnants that are still traversable after the World War, and that you will need to use leftover materials and items to help you survive the new world. And this includes developing skills, improving your equipment, upgrading your equipment, and accessing infected areas that have not yet been decontaminated. This sounds like they will be including skill trees or attribute points of some kind that we can place to change how we play the game and traverse the world, which is really awesome to hear. And this also hints at a crafting and upgrading system as well. They don't go into detail on what that looks like in this developer vlog, but it's possible that we will get to see more in the future. And I am sure that they will continue with the tried and true formula of having some of the most useful and rare gear and equipment and tools in the infected areas, because historically, in order to enter those infected areas, you need to battle special monsters, gather special equipment, or those areas are only unlocked once you get to a certain point in the game. They show different medical items such as a high-tech syringe with empty vessel cartridges next to it, a tourniquet, and a variety of bandages, which tells me that the medical system they are creating is fairly detailed and we will be able to heal different ailments and injuries with a lot of different means. But I am wondering if there will be improvised variations of these factory-made medical goods. For example, could I find a t-shirt or rags and a stick and make an improvised tourniquet that way? There could be a limit on how useful it is, such as maybe it won't stop blood loss as well, or perhaps it won't last as long. But it would be really nice to see them implement something that we could create on the go. One of the most important parts of atmospheric storytelling is the music and sounds, and composer Manaberry has been recruited to deliver some very impactful soundtracks that will be scaled automatically depending on the gameplay intensity, location, or key events taking place. And cool enough, you will be able to collect his music in-game and play it in your hideout at any time. The points of interest were created in a very interesting way, at least I think it's interesting. They start out by creating the environments pre-apocalypse and then add 2 levels of degradation, and those levels are intra-apocalypse and then post-apocalypse once everyone has died. The examples they give is the monastery, which is perfect to me because it shows a calm living area unscathed by war or trouble, and then followed by an occupied living area intra-apocalypse, and then finally, once everyone has been murdered or killed off or scared away, the abandoned version. This is a really smart move to me because they are creating visual reference points that they can use to appropriately scale damage to infrastructures and buildings at any time based on the starting point of those buildings. Rooted's team is growing, and thus the details they are able to provide and implement in the world has grown as well. The alpha has been pushed slightly to the right and will start September 4th at 1400 CEST, Central European Summertime, on the Steam store. The alpha is an alpha and will not reflect the final product of the game, and they emphasize that they need people who are passionate about testing and troubleshooting in an alpha state, which makes total sense. There are so many people that trash on alphas because they equate early access with alpha, but honestly, early access is a very broad term that encompasses multiple tiers of alpha, even beta tests, which are more polished. They are breaking the alpha up into 4 phases, each one building upon the other, and also without a deadline to keep undue pressure off the development team. And I absolutely love the way they have this built out. And I really wish Dead Matter would have done something similar, because I think it would have done a lot to mitigate some of the issues that crept up during their attempt at an alpha release. They start out with a bare bone product, and then once it's in a strong point, they move on to the next phase and add more features, add more people, add more places, and then the third phase, and so on until they make their way to beta. And it is a great way to stress test the servers in a controlled environment and also get very intimate and detailed with the testers and make meaningful changes to the world in near real time. Because of this system, we could be looking at the most polished survival game in recent history that's come from a smaller development team. What's even more impressive and forward thinking is that this team has already implemented a bug report menu in-game and online where you can attach screenshots and describe the issue, which will streamline the bug report process. Now, of course, there is a non-disclosure agreement during the alpha, which as a content creator does hurt my soul and heart. However, I do agree with the NDAs generally speaking, mainly because the alpha is not representative of the final product and they want to keep their first impression looking as good as possible to the general public. Now, I will say that the only time I won't support an NDA will be if it's executed and handled as irresponsibly as Dead Matter did theirs. And if you guys remember, and I'm sure you do, Dead Matter put an NDA on for the general public, but let a privileged few streamers or content creators actively and publicly play the game in its alpha state, even pre-alpha, unfinished to everybody, thus nullifying the purpose of the NDA. So as long as they don't do that, which is not hard to avoid, I'm all for it. All that being said, I think Rooted is on the right path. I'm very excited to see more developer vlogs. I think that they have a very bright future, and this could be one of the best survival games in recent history. What do you guys think about this devlog? Let me know in the comments below what you want to see, what doesn't feel quite right to you, and I will see you all in the next one. Happy surviving. Path out.